win. 2 out of 3 for Jolene Undershoot.
Absolutely outstanding on those squats. And what a comeback from Undershoot with a 12th and 9th, a first, and now another first. And the camaraderie with these ladies. Happy to support once they are done.
From almost withdrawing in the first event last year to whatever that dance is this year.
She's at the big dance.
It's a winning dance for Undershoot.
Allen started off bull out of a gate with the row and also the ski erg. And the first set of squats for Amanda Allen looked very comfortable. She got really good positioning with those dumbbells, easing off the pressure off those forearms so she could go back into the second 1,000 meter row. She was the first one to the ski erg, but Undershoot was sitting away. A crucial no rep from Amanda Allen on that last squat to allow Undershoot to come over a split second just ahead of Amanda Allen. You look to the right for Allen and Undershoot as she dives across the line, and it was under half a second. Absolutely crazy finish.
Down to Nikki.
It was like milliseconds between you and Amanda Allen crossing the finish line. When you saw her get no reps and drop those dumbbells in those final moments, what was going through your mind? How did you know that you needed to finish?
I knew that I couldn't stop, and I knew that she told me in 2013 at my first games, she said the next event you're using your upper body, so who cares if you blow out your legs? So who cares? So I remembered that, and I actually didn't know she got a new rep. I was thinking that I'm not going to make it because there's a couple of times I paused, and I'm like, you got to make this, you got to make this. This whole thing is like a miracle. The man upstairs right now, I sprained my AC joint 11 days ago. And I jerked today, I snatched yesterday, I was able to do the handstand walking obstacle course, so I am so grateful to not only be here, but to actually be doing these events, and this is a huge bonus, so thank you for everyone watching.
Well, congrats on 2 back-to-back wins here.
Thank you so much.
Jolene Undershoot a win in event 3 and then in event 5, although it was coupled with event 4 as well, so as far as she's concerned, 2 back-to-back wins. Jolene Undershoot, hundredths of a second in front of Amanda Allen. Elena Kulik showed well for herself as well.
And will that split second decision from Amanda Allen to not get over the line cost her at the end of the weekend? We're going to have to wait and see. Still plenty more action for these ladies coming up over the weekend.
It's a 10-point difference. We'll see what her margin looks like. The men are coming up next here at the Age Group Pavilion. Men's 35 to 39 Masters events 4 and 5. How did we get here? 1 day of competition in the books. Kyle Kasperbauer, Kyle Kasperbauer, Kyle Kasperbauer.
Doing Kyle Kasperbauer things, sitting back where he belongs and where he ended up at the end of last year.
The winner in this division a year ago at the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games. The pain in store, shoulder to overhead, however you'd like it. A 1-rep max, 3 attempts, ways to do it.
3 minutes, and we've got a strict press, push, jerk, split jerk, power jerk. Doesn't matter how you get it overhead. And then into event 5, 2 rounds of 1,000 meter rows, 750 ski erg, 50 dumbbell squats. It's a 50-pound dumbbell. These men have 21 minutes.
Lane assignments, Kyle Kasperbauer is your leader. He is in lane 10. He'll be flanked in lane 9 by Alexander Jolivet and in lane 11 by Ben Alderman. Those are the 2 guys immediately on his tail. But Kasperbauer is in the driver's seat where he has been since this division was founded a year ago. A first, a fourth, and a third for Kyle Kasperbauer in the first 3 events. And anything involving strength, Kyle Kasperbauer, front of the line.
He's your man. Very focused. He has been coming into this because he wants to back up the performance from last year. He's going to continue.
3 minutes for 3 attempts at a shoulder to overhead press, 1 rep max. And we had a false start. So unrack your weights. Head back to your mats.
Try and get your heart rate back to a normal level.
30 seconds.
Kostas Papadopoulos back to his line.
I'm expecting these gentlemen to put a whole lot of weight overhead. I spoke to Ryan Woodall, who said they're all trying to catch Danny Nichols because he's going to throw something heavy overhead.
Now we'll do it. Danny Nichols has a 325-pound thruster, by the way. So that's a front squat into a push press. The push press is all he would need to do here.
The event 4 keys, a number of lifts. They've only got 3 to do in the 3 minutes. Some athletes choosing this morning to only do 2, rest up and recover, but also the strategy. What sort of weight are you going to put on first? I'd expect around 85% of your 1 rep max to get a score in the books. Don't go out too heavy too early because you've got to give yourself somewhere to go. But they are going to be pushing the envelope at the back end of this 3 minutes.
Those blue plates are 45 pounds each. So Casper Bauer is starting with 315.
As you do.
Greens are 25, yellows are 35. There's Woodall. And as expected, overhead. Casper Bauer put some weight on the bar, bro.
Warm-up's over. But Ryan Woodall, right at screen from WA in Australia. That's Western Australia.
Now this is Joel Brand's wheelhouse.
Is he going to strict press it?
Wouldn't be surprised.
That's very easy for Joel Brand.
His arms are the size of his head. Out of Tegucigalpa in Honduras. He was one of the top qualifiers and favorites in the Latin America regional, but declined to go to Rio de Janeiro, focused solely on Masters division at the Games. Now Kostas Papadopoulos. 16th place coming in. His first year in the Open, his first year in the Games. And the Athenian makes that look easy. Now this is something to watch though, because he will have to take the weight off to something he can clean quickly and then re-rack it and restock it.
As Casper Bauer goes for his next attempt, I'd like to see them bring that bar back down to the rack position to get, as Kyle's just done there, give yourself every opportunity in this 3 minutes.
40 seconds remaining.
This is 390. Just outside 30 seconds for Brand.
390.
Yep.
So those converting to kilos, that's 177 kilos. That's a crazy amount of weight.
Papadopoulos, not that far behind it, and he can't get the thing overhead. Final seconds here, but that's going to be your winner. And I think he could have told you that coming in. That guy is a machine throwing weight.
Yeah, Papadopoulos struggling a little bit with that time, having to re-rack the bar, but Brand, so impressive.
2004 Olympian in weightlifting. Let's get on to Nikki real quick.
Kyle Casper Bauer is incredible out here on the floor. He also has the cutest cheering section in the world. Little Coda and Kennedy out here cheering for Dad. Looking forward to seeing how this helps him get through in the next event right here.
Brand got the better of him in event 4, but Casper Bauer is clearly in the lead heading into event 5. Can't do much better than that. You got a sign that says "My Hero" with your picture on it.
And if we're talking about wheelhouse events, this is going to suit Kyle Casperauer very well. Podium finisher in the individual competition, the team competition, and the Masters, ticking all the boxes, but not letting off on his competition. And having a look over just to see what Alderman's doing. Alderman just behind Casperauer, but Kyle looking really comfortable.
This is Casper Bauer's 8th trip to the CrossFit Games. His best finish on the podium. He was 3rd back in the Open Division in 2012. Obviously, he didn't win the Masters Division, this division, a year ago, but in the Open Division, his best finish was that podium 3rd in 2012. He's the only athlete to podium Open Division, Masters, and a team's podium finish as well. We're going to have to make a new division for him to podium too. He has got his bases covered.
And the focus, looking straight down the display, glancing left to right. There's his display to the left. 30 strokes a minute, exactly where you want to see that. 145, that's a really good split. To give you an indication, the average split row for the marathon the other night was around 157. That was for the entire marathon, so obviously this is going to be a lot faster. But not having to redline this movement going into the ski erg and dumbbell squats. Kyle doing a really great job of keeping that as close to 145 as he can and keeping that stroke rate to 30.
But look at that power too, the way he finishes through.
Glancing left and right just to make sure Jolivet is doing on the right and Alderman on his left. And Ryan Woodall, not sure who he's talking to, maybe his coach. He's there with a beard and no shirt.
The bigger beard.
The bigger beard, yes. With a hat on back to front. Interesting to see these athletes. They all say they stay in their own lane and do their own thing.
They're all looking.
But of course they're looking. What are you doing?
There's Bren. He was just victorious in event 4. Came into the day 17th overall, although those weren't really his events, so to speak. Now we're into brute strength. He's going to carry a yoke around this afternoon.
He'll probably end up running with the yoke.
Likely. He's going to probably just rip the skier apart. That's Kevin Jones. The Hoosier out of Granger, Indiana. Area called the Region, up near Chicago. Hand in the air as his row is coming within its first, or rather final, 100 meters. Woodall is in the same spot. He's peering over at Jones's monitor.
Look at your own monitor so you know when to get off.
And here is Bran on the ski erg. Will he break it before the event is over?
If we're talking about power output from one of our larger athletes, this is where you're going to see it. Bran loading up, well, pushing those hips back a little bit. 143, so he's rowing the ski erg faster than Kyle was rowing his rower. And the stroke rate, the bottom left of screen, 40 strokes per minute, which is a lot higher than we're used to seeing this morning. But with a powerful athlete like Joel Brand, he can get away with it because this is going to be a very easy movement. And now he's up to 52. He had a little bit of a skip with a double stroke. But Joel Brand absolutely powering forward.
He's also probably the most famous guy in this field, by the way. He got married back in November. It was front page news back home in Latin America. His wife, Nora, is a television personality. Front page news. The fact that he got married made the tabloids. See if you can't duplicate that with some CrossFit Games success.
Just need a bigger article on the front page.
This doesn't look like he is phased at all, too. You're seeing some engine in there as well.
Well, you're not going to get through the Open or the Master Open qualifiers without an engine coming into this. Not all the events are going to be strength related. So a couple of athletes choosing to do the double stroke, which is an interesting strategy coming in. You see that shorter stroke rate and then the longer stroke rate.
Where his feet are, too.
Nichols pushing against a really good strategy, pushing against the supports for the ski erg just to keep you back on your heels a little bit more. They're raising a little, but once the movement shifts back, those heels planting, which is exactly where you want them to be. Load up those glutes, hamstrings, adductors, more so than the quads. And Nichols, another very large human.
10th place coming in. He's had a WWE tryout before. Danny Nichols on the right. Brand's done. This should be easy.
I thought he was going to put him overhead for a second.
No rep there. Did not get deep enough twice. So 2 of his first 4 squats were no reps. And now he starts to pace himself a little bit more. He kind of came out guns blazing, and it hurt him. The field's starting to catch up to the dumbbell squats now. The skiing is mostly done. And Brand taking a break, checking how far he was. Native of Guatemala, competing out of Honduras.
I spoke about dumbbell positioning earlier on. Nichols on the right and Polkin on the left. 2 completely different strategies. Polkin having to actually grip the dumbbells, but he's got them centered very well over the middle of his body as he moves forward and then gets told to move back. You don't have to do 25, move it forward. It's 50 in the 1 5-foot box.
And then move it forward.
Then move it forward for your second round. And Nichols on the right, just letting them rest on his shoulders. And he's not even holding onto the front part of the dumbbell. The balance is exactly the same. The dumbbell's just in a different position, but Polkin working a little bit harder with that grip strength, considering he's got 2 very grippy movements coming up.
I'm sorry, I lost sight of the dumbbells on Brand's shoulders. They just blended in. Let's get out of Nikki for more on those no reps early, and another one there for Joe Braun.
Yeah, that's exactly correct, and they're hurting him now as he's getting tired having to do those extra reps. He's actually getting no rep down here because he's not fully extending his hips at the top of each squat. So, you know, originally we thought maybe it was the depth. Now I can see every so often he'll get to the top and just out of sheer exhaustion drop the dumbbells before fully standing up.
And you can see now, Nikki, the way that he snaps that hip up just to make sure he's finishing that extension.
Easiest way to keep movement consistent with the judge is to make it very obvious to them. Makes it very easy for them to count. Brand making his way back to the second 1,000-meter row. Kleinschmidt was the first athlete back to the row in lane 13. Casper Bauer in 10. And also Philip Kniep in lane number 6. So very tight race coming into the second round of the 1,000-meter row. 750-meter ski erg and the 50 dumbbell squats.
Well, there's Kleinschmidt, the regional competitor this year out in the West. Finished 21st. He's a firefighter by trade, too, so carrying around heavy stuff, dumbbell squats, carrying on heavy stuff with an engine, it's part of his job, it's part of his life. Casper Bauer, never lose sight of him, though. A first, a fourth, and a third, leading to a first place overall coming into the day for Kyle Casper Bauer.
Just notice he's breathing a little heavy on this row. He's obviously had to do a lot of work on those first 50 dumbbell squats. and he's trying to suck that air in as much as he can at the back end of the pull. See that chain come all the way up to his chest, and he'll take a very deep breath before he starts his descent back into the flywheel. And you can see the flywheel straight ahead. There's a little point just towards where his display is. That would be sitting around between 6 and 7. The scale down the bottom is 1, up the top is 10. So about 6 to 7. So he is a powerful athlete, but he's also got a fairly big engine. So that's no surprise to see that sitting where it is.
10.5 minutes gone by in this event that will be capped at 21 minutes. On to the second round. 2 rounds of a 1,000-meter row, 750 meters of skiing, and 50 dumbbell squats. The weight 50 pounds each side, so 100-pound dumbbell squat. There's your winner of event 4. Also known throwing things. More apt event title for a man of his stature. But it was a shoulder to overhead 1-rep max.
One thing I want to keep in mind with Bran is those extra squats he's had to do, the extra fatigue that's going to build into this second round. He's obviously worked out now with his judge what he has to do, but is he able to catch a couple of guys that are now finishing up their row?
Hands in the air for Kleinschmidt. And Erast Palkin next to him. The Russian on the right is done with his row. Philip Kniep also onto the skier. Now the field starts to separate a little bit. Casper Bauer has just finished his row. There are 5 men with Alexander Jolivet. He's in the gray, the green tank top rather, to the left, onto the skier. Well, you can look at Jolivet, looking left, looking right, looking left.
I'm not sure what he's looking at, but no one's moving. They're just moving up and down. And he's not going to be able to see, maybe just working out the positioning of how many people are actually getting onto the ski erg. Brand makes his way onto the ski erg for his second round. And now things are starting to get a little bit congested with only 5 athletes remaining on the row.
Not to overcomplicate things, but just as a rower is meant to simulate rowing, a ski erg is meant to simulate cross-country skiing. So get those poles in the ground and thrust yourself forward. There's just no track and no skis.
Kniep on screen almost bending all the way over to get as much strength and power out of that pull on the ski erg as he can. With Kleinschmidt and Polkin, they're not going as deep with their chest, keeping that chest up, which I like to see a lot more of. Torso position, really important. Loading up those glutes and hammy is really important also. Kleinschmidt on the left with the blue shirt on, sitting those hips back really well before he engages his core and starts the pull down, which is really, really good, efficient technique. And that is why he was the first back to the row after round 1. And using the double scoop as well, a number of athletes choosing to do that. The reigning champ, Kyle Casper Bauer, got a little bit of a sway going on to keep rhythm. So if you're thinking about pacing the ski erg over the entire 750 meters, this is a great way to do it. Sweeping those arms way behind his body as a little bit of recovery as well.
Well, look at where he's holding on the handles too. His hand is not up against the butt of that handle. He's got the top of it. He is really yanking down on the ski erg. He's not letting it do the work. He is doing the work for it. He's in control.
And Polkin with that strong tricep extension at the bottom in the pink shorts, battling it out with Kleinschmidt.
Hands in the air for both men. They're inside 100 meters. on the skier. Who will get to the dumbbell squats first on this second round? They both will. But Kleinschmidt chalked, so it'll be a 1-rep lead here for Urost Palkin. Kniep is onto the squats, although he's taking a break away from these two. Jolivet and Casper Bauer, they're now 4th and 5th into the mix. But it's all still on Urost Palkin. Dumbbells firmly on the shoulder of Palkin in the pink shorts, the last man into the games. He was 20th out of the qualifier. He made it by 12 points, and he's got himself in position maybe for an event win here in event 5.
Casper Bauer on the right of screen,
just smoking it.
I can't believe how fast he is going with these dumbbells. If these other guys that have come off the skier don't hurry up, Casper Bauer is going to sneak in for the event win.
And he is completing those reps as he should. Look at the way the hip snaps forward. He's not cheating himself to go that fast. He is just cruising. Palkin is slowing down. The hand is in the air, though. Palkin had a big enough lead, although Casper Bauer's hand is up. It's going to be close. Dumbbells down, Palkin's a winner. Casper Bauer behind him, and now Kleinschmidt.
Casper Bauer with the speed of those squats, absolutely incredible. Jolivet comes over the line to finish off. Palkin with Kleinschmidt coming into the squats.
We don't yet have event results on event 4, but I can tell you Palkin was 2nd to close out day 1 on event 3, and he was 1st on event 5. He's thrown his name into the mix with the Jackrabbit.
And Palkin 2 seconds exactly ahead of Casper Bauer, but 100 points for Palkin.
Time cap is 21 minutes. We are at 17 and a half right now, with plenty of people with plenty of work to do. Justin King has finished, the 5th man across. The Cajun out of Walker, Louisiana, and Slinging Iron CrossFit. Love the name, love it. Gregory Hung. He's 6th all the way from Switzerland. The former Cornhusker. Philip Kniep is across.
Kniep had a great first round, but fell off the pace. And talking about falling off the pace, Bran, who was back very early after round 1, starting to struggle a little bit at the back end as he now finishes.
In the meantime, Landon Brazel just finished ahead of him. And Danny Nichols, who we thought could have a great event 4, is middle of the pack here in event 5, 14th. Starling on the left, Mashburn on the right. Mashburn will beat him, not by much. Hundredths of a second between the two.
It's interesting, the athletes falling across the line. You notice bottom of the screen in lane 20, with Jones coming through, he actually put his foot forward where the chip timer is. So falling over the line is not going to help you at all. Reaching out with that chip timer to get over the finish line is going to help you a lot more.
And there's a risk that you fall through the finish line
and your feet doesn't trigger.
And your feet don't pass. That you're just laying out there, potentially, as other people pass you, and you're doing nothing. Time cap of 21 minutes. We are a minute 45 away from that. Work still being done at the bottom of your screen in lane 18 by Kostas Papadopoulos. Konstantinos Papadopoulos, his full name. A European weightlifting champion. "35 years of age," we mentioned. He just got no reps, did not get that hip crease up. 35 years of age, we mentioned earlier, his first Open. He's got a skewed perception of how easy it is to get to the games.
1-1, that's it. do this all year, every year.
And Papadopoulos will take a breather. The last man out is Jones in the background. Will cheer him on with a minute left for Papadopoulos to wrap this thing up. The best time was Aras Palkin at 16:37. That's what you love about CrossFit, though. The 19 guys that are competing with him around him. Let's go, buddy. Finish this thing out.
Even just a little bit of coaching, not so much support, just getting him to get the movement a little bit more efficient. Obviously, there's a lot of fatigue starting to settle in at this back end of event number 5. But the positioning of the dumbbells is pretty good. It's nice and balanced either side. He's got 5 reps now left remaining. Jolivet trying to get the crowd ramped up to get him over the line.
Five events in the books for the Masters, men aged 35 to 39. And there's Casper Bauer, who says, hey, I got you, man. We're all going through this together. No one better than Aras Palkin.
Palkin, very impressive. Event number 5. But we're going back to event number 4. This is where it all began. We began with a brand with 390 pounds. Or 177 kilos. And very happy with a great lift to start event number 4. Casper Bauer coming into event number 5, knowing he was going to do pretty well, very comfortable on the first round of the row. Brand getting a couple of no reps very early after getting off the row and the ski erg early. Was able to sort that out with his judge. But Casper Bauer coming in with a number of athletes into round number 2 to lead. But then the battle between Klein, Schmidt and Palkin as they both moved off onto the ski erg and both moved to the squats at the same time. So we thought the battle was going to be between them. But the former champ, Casper Bauer, did enough, but not enough for our leader to come through. It is Palkin getting over the line milliseconds before Casper Bauer.
And he is down on the floor with an event win and with Nikki Brazier.
You guys are absolutely right. It was a battle until those last final moments, and I've got Coach Boris here to help us out translating and also to provide some insight. Now, you guys said that you were not expecting this great of a finish on this event. You were on the jerk, but not necessarily on this one. So how were you able to pull through in this endurance event?
Она спрашивает, не ожидал ли ты победы или все пошло само собой, вообще за счет чего ты смог победить?
Ну, вообще я рассчитывал на этот комплекс, потому что, ну, по весу я подхожу и под греблю, и под ски, и приседания тоже довольно-таки хорошо делаю, поэтому рассчитывал держаться, ну, в ровном темпе, ну, а на финише прибавить, что и получилось.
So he said that event he thought it would be nice because his weight is his parameters are quite nice for rowing, for back squatting, and he thought he must keep the same pace and try to be a little bit faster in the end.
Yeah, well, great job. The first event win from a Russian national here in Games history. Congrats.
Aras Palkin picks up a victory in event number 5. Thank you, Nikki. He wins by 2 seconds exactly over Kyle Casper Bauer, who will maintain his position in first place overall. Moving on to the men's 40 to 44 Masters age bracket, events 4 and 5. Here inside the age group pavilion, Madison, Wisconsin at the Alliant Energy Center. The standings with Neil Maddox atop Sean Ramirez, the 4-time champion, on his heels. That is the premier matchup in the men's Masters divisions. Lane assignment says we get set. Neil Maddox is the leader. He is in lane 10. David Levy will be to his right in lane 9. Sean Ramirez is in lane 11 to Neil Maddox's left. You're the leader. You get to look around and get a feeling for who's around you best, right in the middle of the pack. 1 rep max, shoulder to overhead. You can do it however you'd like to. You just have 3 minutes to try it 3 times and put up a high number.
We've got a number of different options. Strict press, you can push press, push jerk, power jerk, split jerk. It doesn't matter how you get it there. Number of athletes choosing to do the split jerk, a lot more efficient. So 3 lifts. Some athletes in previous age divisions choosing to only go 2 lifts to recover a little bit more for event 5. But also the strategy of how many kilos or pounds you're going to put on the bar for your first initial lift. Earlier today, we saw some athletes fail their first couple of attempts. So about 85% is what we're looking at roughly for the first attempt. But the matchup of all matchups, 2 of the best competitors, and coming into the Masters divisions, Ramirez on the left and Maddox on the right. Expect some very big weight from both. And Ramirez, you've got to rack it. Because if you drop that bar, you've got to get it back onto the rack, which is a lot of precious seconds you can't afford to lose.
Sean Ramirez is the 4-time defending champion in this age bracket, 40 to 44 years of age as a master. No one in CrossFit Games history across any division has ever won 5 championships in that same division. Rich Froning won 4 times on the men's open side. He's won 6 times total, but 2 of them are teams. Sean Ramirez would go down as the most impressive individual division games athlete if he could close out 2018 and throw it above his fireplace on the medal.
There's a guy who's going to have something to say about that. And here is the guy, Neil Maddox.
Oh, that's Neil Maddox? I thought it was Adonis. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sean looking comfortable with that really long split. He's just having a little bit of trouble racking that bar after each lift, but the bar going up very easily.
There's Gary Papka now, 330, currently in 10th place. Doesn't have to be pretty, but he did get it overhead.
I did mention the number of different ways you could get it overhead. That was like a push split jerk. So it was like a bit of a mix-up of all 3. But as you said, it doesn't have to be pretty. Let's just get it over there.
30 seconds left in this 4th event. Why the split jerk for most of these guys? What is it about that choice that best works?
If you think about bar positioning on the rack and where the bar's got to travel overhead, if you get that split long enough, the bar travels less distance. Maddox doing a hybrid press split as well.
5 seconds. Ramirez couldn't finish the lift. So Maddox does beat the buzzer. Ramirez does not. Now a 1-minute break for all of these gentlemen, and on to event 5. No rest for the weary.
2 rounds of a 1,000-meter row, 750 on the ski erg, 50 dumbbell squats at 50 pounds. 2 rounds for that, and 21 minutes to get the work done. So a complete opposite change to what we've just seen with the strength movement.
Let's go down and say hey to Nikki.
Well, hey guys, I caught up with Sean before this event, and he said, you know, he knows he really needs to get in it to win it. He changed up his entire training strategy this year, knowing he's at the top of the age bracket here, and he said it feels like his first games ever.
It's just a different approach for Ramirez too, because the other thing that changes is like Neil Maddox is here, and there's just a different vibe when you've got a competitor like that guy, who was chiseled out of marble. He's got a career in Marvel movies if he wants one.
And he's got that focus of a statue as well, because he is so dialed into this competition this weekend.
Well, our conversation with him was great. I don't think he looked at either one of us.
No,
he looked
straight through us. I don't know if it was straight ahead or straight through us, but he's not here to play around. He's here to win this title.
Yeah, and I mean, I say it jokingly, but you know, his competitors are aware. Mike Eberts joked, like, I can't take my shirt off next to him because. Yeah, just because. There's, you know, you're all here. You're all in this division. You're the 20 fittest men in the world in this age bracket. But there's almost a fandom that happens as well.
Of course.
Even for that guy.
A competitor like Maddox, who's been as an individual for many, many years. You can't take that very lightly.
It's almost like he's invading your division if you're Sean Ramirez. How are you going to hold your territory?
But Ramirez doing very well in the O course. with a first place finish. Then he's had it all to do with a 4th and 11th. Sean knows he's up for a challenge.
A lot of Sean Ramirez shirts in the crowd as well. He gets the biggest cheers when his name is announced.
There they are. There was a lot of them out at the Battleground on Wednesday. And coming up from Florida to support this guy, the 4-time champ. Moves up a division next year.
14 event wins in the career of Sean Ramirez, too. He's done it dominantly. You know, talk about the obstacle course. All the fans out there that saw him compete. He finished the obstacle course 13 seconds before the next competitor in his heat started the final obstacle. It was dominant, Sean Ramirez, on Wednesday morning.
And when you've got an event like that one, which is just over 3 minutes, 13 seconds is a fairly long time.
It's not like he won a marathon by 13 seconds. He won the 100-yard dash.
I was saying things are quite somber at the moment in here. There's a bit of a lull across the crowd because they know things are going to ramp up in about 10 minutes' time. And they're just waiting patiently for these judges' hands to go in the air.
1,000 meters to row here. The judges will place their hands in the air when each competitor has 100 meters left to work with. They'll then move on to the skier for 750 meters, and the first hand is in the air. It belongs to Gary Papka, not to Neil Maddox, not to Sean Ramirez. Belongs to the 41-year-old out of Georgia. Hand in the air now for the NHL star, Joe Corvo, in lane 6. Corvo knows competition. Goal-scoring defenseman. He's funny, when he first got into CrossFit, he thought it was too dangerous for him. He goes, my hands are too precious. I can't be cleaning all the time. I could injure my wrists. But after hockey, this has given him a competitive outlet, and he has absolutely channeled that same NHL fire. He said the games stacks up like getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's high praise.
Wow, yeah, that's a big call. Corvo hot on the heels of Gary Papka. The whole field of athletes in this division, 40 to 44, a lot of them very big in stature. No, the judge isn't that small. Gary's just that big.
6'1", 235 pounds for Gary Papka. His first year at the games, his third year in the Open, he jumped from 54th in the Open to qualify for the games in 19th. And he's sitting in 10th place coming into events 4 and 5. He was kind of bummed originally because his name was on the outside looking in. And then that Monday, that final Monday when scores are due, you go scoreboard watching, and suddenly he starts creeping up. And he found his way to Madison. Joe Corvo on the right, Ramirez on the left. Corvo spent time with the Bruins, the Capitals, the Hurricanes, the Senators, and the Kings in his NHL career. Talked about his hands being valuable too. It took him 591 games in the NHL to get into a fight. And I said,
what took him so long?
That's what I said. He goes, again, hands are too valuable. We got other guys on the team to fight. I'm here to score goals and play defense. Calls himself a good live competition athlete as well. One of the lower qualifiers in the division, but he said, turn on those lights, let's throw down. And he has. 9th place coming in.
Swiss stack, sweeping those arms really wide to lessen the fatigue on those shoulders. I'd love to see him get those elbows a little bit tighter on that initial pull, but very happy with that return and relax all the way through.
Hand in the air for Swiss stack as everyone starts to finish their ski erg and move on to the dumbbell squats. A 100-pound dumbbell squat, 50 in each hand. Goatee game is strong for Joe Corvo. Neil Maddox is actually one of the final competitors to get to this movement here. So Corvo's got himself a good lead on the machine. You can see he breaks parallel and the snap of the waist, the hips coming through at the top to complete the rep.
Two differing techniques. Maddox on the left, Ramirez on the right. Two different positions of the dumbbell. Ramirez with a no rep. But Maddox, the speed of the squat is a lot greater.